No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. We fly that flow. Spread that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that road. Funk and control. Funk and control. Bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. Funky and free, we fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoops got rhythm, my sticks got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split that's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all.
Welcome, friends. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. I think that should be the intro rather than the outro. That makes a lot more sense, and it gets me all jacked up so that I can be a complete lunatic for 2 full hours. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at... We're going to go all the way in, all the way down the rabbit hole with crash recovery, which has apparently been in the CLI of Betaflight forever. Not necessarily forever, but for a long time. I discovered it a couple of years ago, and I've been telling you guys a little bit about it here and there. Oh my god, what's happening? And there's like three or four settings that the default values are just like no good, for tiny whooping at least. And those three values a while ago I figured out and got dialed in, and I've shared that with you guys a bunch. But there's more to it. I don't know if they added a little bit more to it or what, but I went back to the Betaflight Wiki here the other day and noticed the crash recovery rate. I don't think I've ever dove into. And then the crash time, I've definitely not adjusted. And the crash delay, I've definitely not adjusted. And those are the ones that I'm most interested. The most interesting ones are the crash delay and the crash time. Crash recovery, what is it? It is a feature in Betaflight that by default is off. When you turn it on, there's a set of default values that are not, I think they're not quite, it's been a long time since I dialed in the default values, but I think the default values are not aggressive enough, so it basically just doesn't turn on, and other than when you like really hit something hard. And when you hit something really hard, it a lot of times will put the quad into, it'll essentially overload the gyro. It'll start spinning so fast that the gyro maxes out, and then there's really like nothing that can be done. Like that's just, you guys have all had those death spins where in the goggles you're the world's whizzing by at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And yeah, without gyro data, right? So that maxes the gyro out, and so at that point there is no gyro data, and so the quad doesn't know what to do at that point. Once the gyro is maxed out, it doesn't know if it needs to yaw left or yaw right or roll right, roll left, pitch forward, pitch back, right. And so it just waits. It waits until the gyro values come down to where it knows what the hell's going on, and then it tries to fix itself. But that's not really related to crash recovery. Crash recovery is triggered when the crash G threshold right here is exceeded. The amount of G force, so you're going to dial this in. The default value is 400. I'll bet you that means 4G. And so if you're flying and the gyro detects more than 4G in any direction, it's going to turn on crash recovery. When it does that, it fires up the accelerometer to find level, and it snaps the quad back level, and then the crash recovery turns itself back off. Wildly useful for tiny whoops inside the house where you're bumping into stuff all the time. You can certainly run this on outdoor quads, and I've actually started to, but it is infinitely it's really like with tiny whoops, it's like cheating. In a way, it's really, really, really good because we're always smacking into stuff, right? Like with tiny whoops, the dimensions inside of our houses where we're flying are ridiculously small. And, you're trying to shoot a gap that's this big, and then another gap that's this big, and another gap that's this big. And so you're going to hit shit all the time. And when you hit shit, it will typically knock the quad offline. So in an instant, you bump into something, you were expecting this, you bump into something, instantly the quad is like this. You're not going to be quick enough to like jump off the throttle immediately, so you're still going to be on the throttle, right? So you're expecting this, and now it's like this. So you're still on the throttle, and it rockets in this other direction. Crash recovery, when that happens, it's going to flatten itself back out, so that you're not driving into something else. And if you get it dialed in, it's really magic. The problem that I have with it sometimes is it will trigger when I don't necessarily need it to, or it will trigger and then the delay, I believe, is too high. And so, like, for example, this happens when I hit the carpet sometimes. I'll be flying really low, I'll hit the carpet, it'll generate a little bit more of the G that threshold is set, and so it'll turn crash recovery on, and and when crash recovery is turned on, you're kind of locked out. You're locked out of the controls because it's running the accelerometer and it's finding level, and then I think that delay is in there too, so the delay is also kind of locking you out of the controls. And so inside the house, things are happening quick, right? Like that is one of the biggest things to learn with flying tiny whoops hard inside the house is that you have to be on it. You have to be way more reactive than you are outside. Outside, you've got much bigger gaps, you've got much more time to get the thing settled after something weird happens, or just in general. Your inputs are slower when you're flying outside. When you're flying in the house, you have to like add 50% to your inputs. You're just doing more work. You're moving the sticks quicker. You're reacting to more shit, right? You get from your coffee table to your couch in a fucking instant. When you're flying outside, you get from your fence to your house in like a half a second, right? And you have a little bit of time. And so with how quickly things happen when flying inside the house, any kind of delay that locks you out of the controls is excruciating, especially when you just hit something, right? Like in this case, I just hit the carpet. So like I'm flying forward, I'm nose down, I go a little bit too low, I hit the carpet, crash recovery snaps me flat. Well, I want to put the nose back down now. But I'm locked out, so it sits here for like a split second, and then it comes back on, and it gives me the controls, and then it puts its nose down, and so I ran crash recovery for a long time. I started to get frustrated by that behavior every once in a while, and I said on a live stream, I said, you know what, let's turn crash recovery off and see what the difference is. Like, let's see if it's hurting me more than it's helping me. And it was like immediately obvious that it's helping way more than it's hurting me. It's like 10 to 1, if not like 20 to 1. It helps versus it locks me out in a weird point. And like sometimes when it locks me out of the controls, it'll actually cause another crash. That's where I really notice it. Like when it triggers and I'm locked out and the quad is like headed, yeah, sure, it's flat, but it's still got momentum, and it's got momentum traveling right at another object, and then it smacks into another object, and I'm like, shit, man, if I'd had control in that split second, I would have been able to jump over the couch or the gate over there or whatever that may be. So tonight we're going all the way in on crash recovery, and we are going to adjust all of these parameters. We are going to go through these one by one. We're going to look at where the default is, where my settings are. We're going to talk about what they mean. My understanding of these different parameters is from just flying. I haven't talked to any Betaflight dev to have any other secret information on any one of these. So I'm basing my knowledge off of what you're looking at right here and my personal experience with it. So, fair warning, I could be wrong about some of this stuff. I'm going to be way more right than most of you, though, so you're going to learn a lot. But if I am a little bit off about any one of these things, I apologize for that. We're going to test them. I've got 12 batteries charged up. We're going to fly it on 2 different rigs, and we're going to learn a whole bunch together. Sound good? CiottiFPV.com is where you go to support me. This is a completely crowdfunded thing that I'm doing here. And quite honestly, I need your guys' help. I need you to join my Patreon for 10 cents a day. I need you to buy something off my Etsy store. I need you to change your bookmarks to my affiliate links. Do something. Over on my Etsy store, I'm doing 3D printing. Anything that you need 3D printed, I can do for you. These are the colors that I have available. Every single order that you place through my Etsy store will come with one of these Propodiles. These are an amazing way to remove tiny whoop props without destroying your motors. Chris Rennie designed this and gave it to the community, and I contacted him. I said, yo, I want to get these things out there. I'm sick and tired of people ruining tiny whoop motors. Can I start giving these away on all my Etsy orders? And he was like, dude, that'd be insanely cool. So yeah, these are the colors of filament that I've got. I'll print whatever you want. I have some stuff up on the Etsy store, but yeah, you find a file, you send it to me, I print it. What you're paying for is the filament, my time, and the wear and tear on the machine. I don't do any 3D modeling. I can just take existing prints and make them exist in reality. Over on the Etsy store, another amazing way to support me is to buy some of these stickers. Yes, they're expensive. You are supporting me. You are not. I am not a sticker company. I don't sell stickers, so I'm not going to sell them for $1 each. They're like $4 or $5 each because the $4.50 or $4 or whatever it may be over the cost that I pay for these is you supporting me. It's a great way to support me. Buy the stickers. This is like, if you guys ask me to sign something, this is basically my signature. Matte New School logo, holographic New School logo, Apple Colors New School logo, Old School holographic, Home of the Whooper, little synthwave action, big Old School holographic, little matte old logo. Magnet. I don't think I have any more of these. Regular sticker, but matte and the Old School logo. Gangly Gang with wonderful holographic insanity. Matte Gangly Gang. Holographic Gangly Gang. Kill All Carbon. If every single one of you car idiots don't have one of these, I'm very disappointed. Nut Grabber. Never give up. GoPro ripoff. That's glow in the dark. Why has no one bought one of these yet? It glows in the dark. Big Micro King. Window Cling Micro King. If there's a sticker that you don't see on the website, you're more than welcome to ask me about it, but it's probably like sold out and gone forever. But maybe not. But probably. Like that old school CiottiFPV logo magnet, I'm pretty sure those are just gone. But if there's a sticker here that you're absolutely dying for, just message me. All my contact info is over on CiottiFPV.com. Oh, for Christ's sakes, why did I not leave the... Oh, because he just sent it directly to me. And I meant to keep that opened in my Discord, but I didn't. B.A.D, B.A.D, created one of these awesome little Mobula 6 canopy adapters, but for the Ant Lite camera. And so B.A.D has that. Maybe he'll share it over in our Discord in the 3D printing text channel. And so yeah, if you want to put a Caddx Ant inside of a upside down ball sack canopy, you can now do it. Thanks to B.A.D. Thank you, brother. These will be, as long as B.A.D is cool with it, I will have these up on the Etsy store at some point here. I printed 5 of them. I'm only going to use 1 of them. So the other 4 will be on the Etsy store. So yeah, you'll be able to mount. There's also one of these for the CO3. So yeah, you'll be able to mount Ant Lights and CO3s in your old school Mobula 6 upside down ball sack looking canopy. Cool. HPDE is the right material for these. This isn't HPD. What's it called? Not PLA. LMNOP. QRL4. PFA. PLOR. P. It's the one that's 4 letters. HPDE. No, that's high performance driving experience. F Changs. F PTFE. No. PETG. Thank you, Jamie. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know what it is, but there's something about PETG that I cannot fucking remember. This has been going on for months now. I cannot remember PETG. No matter how many times this happens, you would think that every time this happens, an anxiety brain goes, "Oh, you look like an asshole again," that it would like stick out, but it just doesn't. I cannot remember PETG. I can't. 3 letters is apparently the max. I guess when I turned 40, my ability to remember 4 letters just disappeared. And it's been 4 years, and I didn't notice it, but now I notice it. So yeah, that's the deal for tonight, friends. In the chat, Frank Nicholas was first, Matthew Wegner, Royal FPV, Tamava, Howdy Newbie, Impala Bob, Uriel, Hendrix Freakazoid, Bob Noxious, Chris B, Jimmy the Cow, Hale FPVRC, Uriel again, Jimmy the Cow again, Sporny, Fly 70 or just Fly 0, Royal FPV again, Skull 901, Douglas Otwell, Scott Stevens, Mupshot, Jimmy the Cow again, Whoop Fox, Skull 901, Royal again, Mupshot again, Denzel the Terrible. I think I got pretty much everybody. Brain Rot, Cole again, Brandon's Baked Beans, Jimmy Flies FPV, Meyer CR, Sporny, Danzilla. What's up, friends? If you want to talk to me, type at CiottiFPV into the chat. YouTube has made things worse. Also, I turned on subscribers only mode in the chat to try to encourage people to subscribe to the channel. I don't know if that's a good idea. It's probably a bad idea, but sometimes I change something and see if it's better or worse. Can somebody, just one person, if you don't mind, the first person to say I'll try it, can somebody unsubscribe and then try to post a comment and see what it does? If it doesn't say like you have to be subscribed to comment, then I'm gonna turn that shit off. But I can't test that. So somebody say like I'll. Mupshot says everyone unsub. One person say I'll do it in the chat. The first person to say I'll do it in the chat, do me a favor, unsubscribe. No, Mupshot's gonna do it. All right, so we got it. So yeah, if it just blankly won't let you comment, then that's stupid. But yeah. Brainswaping says you can just tune in using incognito mode. I could if I was an intelligent human being, but I'm not. So, you know. In the chat, Bob Noxious tagged me and said, "What's up, CiottiFPV and gang?" If you want to talk directly to me, type at CiottiFPV. If you want to support me, go to CiottiFPV.com. Buy something, buy yourself something, join the Patreon. Lots of good ways you can support me. Jimmy the Cow says, "This winter, you got to teach us how to apply water slide stickers on our whoops, please." Oh, man. I can try. We'll learn together. I have 3 sheets of Betaflight water slide stickers that I've just been far too lazy to do anything with. But yeah, keep reminding me, and we'll do it because the stickers are pretty cool. And you know, if you're not gonna fly good, you better look good. So I got to put stickers on stuff so I can look good. Upshot says, "I think you should repurpose Bardwell's old theme. Do you want to follow? He ain't using it. Hell, he doesn't even stream anymore. He'll be back. He'll stream more, especially maybe not in the wintertime. Yeah, I don't know. He's busy. He's busy with things, and yeah, I almost got picked up for those things, but they didn't need the extra help, I guess, or they went with somebody else. But yeah, he's doing stuff that, look, Joshua has put so much effort into he has put so much free effort into the FPV community over the last 10 years that, like, if he wants to take the next 5 years off, ain't a goddamn thing that we should be saying about it, you know? Like, he is owed any time off, and the stuff that he's doing is setting him and his family up to be comfortable. And that's, you know, if you do a lot of work like that and then you find something that pays well, more power to you. And I'm super happy with it for him, and you guys should be too. I get it, you know, I absolutely loved watching his streams too, and I miss him like crazy. But he's doing something that he worked super hard for, and you know, that's great. Denzel the Turbo says, hey CiottiFPV and all you degenerates. Whoop Fox says, "Where do you go in Betaflight to find it, to turn it on?" It's in the CLI. We're going to dive in a minute here. Sporty says, "How do you use these Propodiles?" Good question. You take the open jaws and you put it... I have something specifically for this. It's a bench camera. You put it under the propeller, and then you just use your little fingies to pop it up, and then you pop it up and over like that, and then you pull it down so that the propeller is in the little farthest part. You don't really have to put it all the way far in there. And now you have a better grip on the propeller. And now this is important. Do not turn this. You pull the prop straight off. You use these 2 fingers to pinch the bell. You pinch the bell and you pull straight up and off. You do not twist. If you twist, you will break the laser weld between the motor shaft and the bell. You pull the prop straight off. You can wiggle it a little bit, but you do not twist it. Twisting propellers is one of the ways that you kill motors. This propeller came off super easy because I use my 0.99 millimeter drill bit on all of my props before I put them onto motors. This 0.99 millimeter drill bit and this 1.47 millimeter drill bit, these are the ways that you save your motors. Not this, not this. These help if you already screwed up, But the way that you stop ruining $10+ tiny whoop motors is to drill the propellers out with the drill bits that I have on my Etsy store for $5 whole each. So for the price of one destroyed motor, you can have these drill bits. For another couple dollars, you can get one of these cool double-sided pin vices. But yeah, you will save a lot more money than you will pay on the drill bits. And like, I would like to say at this point, until the prop manufacturers size the inner diameter of the propellers correctly, but they're not the only ones at fault here. The motor manufacturers are also at fault because they make their motor shafts slightly different. Some of the motor shafts are 0.99 millimeters, some of them are 0.98, some of them are 1.0, some of them are 1.01. It's all over the goddamn place. And so, you know, it's a problem of standardization, which is, you know, runs rampant all over the world. It happens in motorsport all the time. You buy a tubular K member from Maximum Motorsports, and then you buy A-arms from Griggs Racing, and they don't jive because Maximum Motorsports set their subframe up to tighten some tolerance up against the Ford unibody. And then Griggs didn't. And so now these two manufacturers of parts don't work right because, you know, they're not sharing information. So, yeah, there you go. Good question. Jimmy the Cow says, no one's ordered one of the GoPro ones. I'll buy one. Send it, bro, to me, please. Since I saw that you were going to say that you were going to buy one, I figured I'd be nice and say, send it, bro. Normally, I would have seen that coming and refused to say it. I won't say it again, though. Meyer says, love your 4-letter game, LOL. Denzel the Turbo says, I know you are too humble too, so I posted the pic of you and Maggie at the beach on Discord General Nonsense. What picture of me and Maggie on the beach? There's a... There it is. I mean, I'll say this. That looks a lot like her. That woman looks a lot more like Maggie than that guy looks like me. In that, you know, that woman is hot and like Maggie, and that guy is... Yeah. Mupshot says, someone needs to send you a G with a leash on it. What's that mean? What were we talking about at 10:23? A G with a leash on it? Oh. Oh, that's the most dad joke I've ever heard. Holy shit. Someone needs to send you a G with a leash on it. A leash because it's a pet, and then a G. Mupshot. You're better than that. Come on. No, it's actually pretty good. FizzPV says, I'm starting the Whoop Box Carve. What the hell's that mean? Oh, nice. Very cool. Very, very cool. Jamie Flies FPV says, I really appreciate this topic. I use Crash Recovery all the time, but have never tuned it. Yeah, it makes a big difference when you tune it. Big difference. Even from just the couple of things that the easy changes that you can make to it, which are D threshold, G threshold, set point threshold, and crash recovery rate. Look at that. I've actually been changing 4 things. I don't really understand the D threshold. I totally understand the G threshold. The set point threshold, I also don't understand. I think I know what that one is, though. And then the recovery rate, I totally understand. The recovery rate is how quickly it goes to center. We're gonna dive into every single one of these. We are going to turn them way up. We're going to turn them way down. That's going to be the easiest way that we can see what the hell they're doing. And then we're going to get them hopefully dialed in properly. But getting them dialed in properly just like PIDs, just like rates, is your job. My job is to make you understand what they do, and then I might as well dial them in for my flying and for my builds and for what I crash into and for how often I crash. If you want to use the numbers that I settle on, they'll probably work pretty good. But as an example, I crash into these gates a lot. All right? I crash into these gates. These move when I hit them, right? So the G's, and they're also soft, right? I hit it here, and it's a soft material. And so for me, the G force that gets generated when I hit those gates is going to be fairly low. If you smack into, if you have wood gates or PVC gates, that's going to be a really high G shock load when you hit it, right? Because you're going 10 miles an hour, let's say. You hit the thing that's hard, all of your energy hits all at once. And that's going to create a massive G spike. It's going to create a fast, high G spike. When I hit these gates, it's going to create a much longer and lower G spike. If I hit it with the same energy, it's going to give a little bit, and it's going to spread that energy out over time. And so my settings are going to be different than your settings. I typically don't hit anything. I don't hit solid stuff and expect to recover. When I hit solid stuff, I'm like full throttle rocketing into the main beam of the house. And like that's going to hit so hard that it's going to overload the gyro, and crash recovery is not even going to have a chance. Crash recovery is for when you hit stuff not at full throttle and there's some chance of you maybe kind of recovering. You understand that. Like if you try to tune crash recovery to help you every single time you hit something, you're going to have to tune it in a way that it basically turns on too often. We'll see that when I do extremes on the values. And so yeah, crash recovery, understand it's only there for if there's like any chance, or if you're not going a million miles an hour. The faster you go, the more hopeless it becomes for the gyro to kind of come on board, and the accelerometer to turn on and actually get the damn thing flattened out. Cole FPV says PETG is PET-G. Maybe this will help me remember it. Chemically, polyethylene tetrathalate. I think it's pronounced phthalate. Tetrathalate. Polyethylene tetrathalate. The G is glycol that softens PET enough to extrude. That's pretty cool. Look at the big brain on Brad. What movie is that from? That's not Cole FPV's name. That's a movie quote. Somebody will get that. That's not too hard of a movie quote. A little bit of a deep cut, but somebody will get it for sure. For fuck's sake. YouTube did the thing, scrolling back up. Dave 3016 says it says chat as a subscriber. Yep, Tamava says it gave a warning for 1 minute required. Yeah, they forced me to put a time limit on it. For right now, I have chat as a subscribers only in the chat, possibly to encourage people to subscribe to the channel. A lot of times, you've not even realized that you're not subscribed to a channel, and so hopefully it'll be a little reminder to get that subscriber number up, because the more subscribers you are, the better you are. Brady's Baked Bean says, "Yep, got that." Meyer CR says, "Not logged in, can't do shit in the chat." Uriel says, "I feel bad. I cannot." Don't feel bad about that, brother. You guys hanging out. Look, there's a million ways that you guys can support me. Change your bookmarks for all these websites to my affiliate links. Participate in the chat. Thumbs up the videos, subscribe, right? Be active, leave comments. There's a million ways that you can subscribe. Don't ever feel like And that all, those things all help with, putting food in the children's bottomless pits of stomachs that they've got upstairs. So yeah, it's all good. I don't ever want you guys to feel bad if you're in a place that you can't support me financially. If you can, that's amazing. But if you're not hanging out and getting this knowledge and spreading the knowledge and just being, a cool human being, that is amazing. Meyer CR says, sent you another PayPal. Oh, shit. I don't even have my email up, do I? Yeah, I do. Damn, dude. Craig, super generous, brother. Thank you so much. Craig with a $50 PayPal. He says, always enjoy your humor. Keep going. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Very, very generous. What's this? Oh, shit. Somebody bought the... See, all I have to do is beat you, and then you'll buy the things. There's a GoPro sticker going out to Oregon. I love it. Thank you, dude. Move this over here, and all right, we're good. Mupshot says, blocked me, then made me wait as being a subscriber for more than a minute to comment. Yeah, I'm gonna turn that off. That's I don't like that. I don't. If it put up a thing like, hey, if you want to be involved in the chat or community or whatever, you got to subscribe. That'd be one thing. But like, I don't know. This feels weird. How do I turn that off? There we go. Okay. Participant modes. Who can send messages? Anyone. Yeah. See, they don't give you any options. Yeah, it sucks. Nah, it's going back to anyone. All right, cool. That's better. Sporty says, thanks, I will print it. Have a slipping shaft now because I was always twisting. Yeah, don't twist. Don't twist. Don't twist. Jimmy the Cow says, what's the news on the new Caddx standalone VTX being released tomorrow? I think I might have seen something about that somewhere. I don't know, man. I've lost a lot of confidence in anybody making VTXs or whatever. It looks like somebody posted on my Discord, Unleash the FPV Storm. Oh, it's digital. I thought it was analog. What? $36? What? Oh, it's Walksnail. Of course it's Walksnail. I'm stupid. Walksnail Ascent Lite VTX. I'm going to assume that this is the video system that they put into that quad that everybody was screaming and yelling about. Because $36 is far too inexpensive for it to just be like a standalone thing. Wow, dude, $36. Also, I'm going to assume that they're able to sell it for $36 because you got to buy a new set of goggles, and they're going to make money off of the goggles. I'm not basing that on anything other than having been in FPV for a long time and just understanding what some of this shit costs. And $36 for like a digital VTX setup is mind-blowingly inexpensive. So they've got to be making the money back somewhere else. I'm assuming. But yeah, wow. That's something else. $36 for a camera and a VTX and an antenna. Shit sticks. Right. Meyer says, Meyer CR is actually Craig, but Google changed my name a while ago. Yeah, it's super annoying, dude. YouTube needs to stop making it worse. Mupshot says Pet G. Denzel the Turtle says Teddy is the OG. Whoop Fox says, with it being in the CLI, when done tuning, could you do the diff command and copy it to another rig? Absolutely. On my desktop here, in this little notes program, I have a chunk of text that I just drag and drop onto all of my rigs. Set crash D threshold equals 80. set crash G threshold equals 600, crash set point, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, you can just have a little chunk that you drag and drop, and away you go. Hold on. Are there two things on top? No, we're good. Cole FPV says PET is your average 2-liter soda bottle plastic, and that is why that is a part of the reason that I always F it up, because when I forget, when I'm struggling to remember PETG, I always think to myself, hey dummy, it's on the goddamn soda bottles under the recycling logo. But then I can't remember. It's just absolutely insane. You can actually cut them into strips and extrude them through a 1.75 nozzle to make filament, but it's generally not worth the effort. Yeah, I've seen that in a couple of YouTube videos, how to take soda bottles and make your own filament. Really cool stuff. Mupshot was the first one to get it. Pulp Fiction. Yep, that's it. Jamie Flies FPV says it's not compatible with regular walk snail. Yeah, right. So you got to get whatever the goggles that you have to get for that new little bind and fly that they sell. So yeah, they'll make their money on the goggles. Cole FPV says Protos. What's that? Yeah. Protos is the name of the bind and fly. Good call. Project Mockingbird's in the house. He says, late night working on my pays the bills job, so thanks for the streams, keep me company. You're certainly welcome. And I'm caught up on chat, and so that means we can get to the main topic of the live stream, which is crash recovery. In case you missed it, crash recovery is buried in the CLI. It triggers when the gyro sees more G-force or more D-term or more set point. Apparently, we're gonna try this in a minute. Then you have it. Then the way that you have it dialed in, the main thing that it seems to work off of is G-force. So the default value for the G threshold is 400. I think that means 4G, 4.00 G. So when you crash into something and there is more than 4G of impact, crash recovery is going to turn on. If it's going to trigger, if you've turned it on, by default it's off. It's going to fire up the accelerometer and it's going to set the quad level, and then it's going to turn itself off. There's a little bit of a delay. There's a bunch of different settings here, but that's what it does. So you're flying along, you smack into something, it puts it in a weird orientation. The crash recovery levels itself back out, and good God, does that make it easier for you to not then ping pong around the room. Because what you want to remember is when you're flying like this, you've got a bunch of throttle in there. You've got like 30% throttle, let's say. So when you smack into something, you've still got that 30% throttle. And so it's going to go rocketing towards the wall or your TV or your next door neighbor or something like that. And so for it to hit something and then level itself back out, it decreases that moment where your brain is still like seeing what's there's the latency, then your eyes have to see it. It has to tell your brain what's going on. Your brain has to figure out, hey, we got to go back and left. And then down to your fingers through the controller, latency again to the quad, and then it fires the motors up, right? And so there's, no matter what, no matter how young you are, no matter how quick your reflexes are, when you hit something, there's going to be like at least a quarter of a second probably where it is in an orientation that you don't want it, going towards potentially something else. And so having crash recovery on makes a massive difference, because once it levels itself out like here, like this, if you've got a bunch of throttle in, it's just going to start to go up, and that's going to happen pretty slowly. So it's in the CLI. Let's fire up Betaflight, and I'm going to give you a set. Well, here, I'm going to drop this into the chat. This is what I've been using, and this works pretty damn well. And so it's right here. For anybody unable to see the chat, this is what I've been using for a while, and it works pretty goddamn well. This works shockingly well. And so if you don't want to go down the rabbit hole with me here, drop this in to pretty much any rig and it'll probably work damn good. But we are going to dive into each one of these and then some to really figure out how to even better set this thing in a way where it turns on when you want it to turn on and it doesn't turn on when you don't want it to turn on. Because when crash recovery turns on, you're locked out. During the period of time that you're locked out, it's going back to center. So it's like very safe. There's I can't imagine a scenario where crash recovery would like cause a problem, especially because it's pretty quick. Like it's on and then it's off pretty quick. But I'm actually going to try to get it to turn on and off even quicker. So first things first, how the hell do you turn it on? It was the last line of text in that, in the thing that I was just showing you, but just for the sake of argument, I'm going to show it to you here. It doesn't really make sense to do that full screen because it doesn't make the text any bigger. So I'll just put it right here. Yeah, I'm going to put it over here a little bit. All right, so you're going to plug your quad in. You're going to come into the CLI, and here's the super easy way to do this. You're going to type get space CRA, and it's already starting to tell us the different ones, but keep going. SH, get crash. And so now it shows you all of the different crash-related items in the CLI. Crash delay, crash D-threshold, G-threshold, limit yaw, crash recovery. This is where we're going to turn it off or on. Crash recovery angle, crash recovery rate, set point threshold, time, expo, motor percent. Well, I'm sorry, no. This is crash flip. We don't want these. This is a different thing. Crash flip is different than crash recovery. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe, different items. This one called crash recovery, that sounds pretty like that's it, right? So if you click it, it dumps it in for you, so you don't have to type the rest of it. Since we typed get instead of set, when you type get and then something, it'll just tell you what it is. So we're going to hit return, and it's going to give us... Oh, that's cool. So it shows us everything that has crash underscore recovery. So it's showing us crash recovery. It's showing us crash recovery and then underscore rate. And it's also just showing us... Oh, sorry. It's showing us crash recovery underscore angle, crash recovery underscore rate, and then the main one here, crash recovery. By default, this is going to say off. It's going to say crash recovery equals off. It tells you right here. It tells me this because I have it set not at the default. If crash recovery... Oh, here, let's do it. So this is how you turn it on. You type set space crash, and then I can just click here, but then you got to do equals, and for right now I'm going to turn it off because I just want to show this to you. So it's now off. If I type get crash recovery like I just did a second ago and hit enter, see that? Crash recovery equals off, profile 0, allowed values, off, on, beep, disarm. It doesn't tell me the default value because it is the default value. Betaflight only ever gives you what the default value is if you're not on the default value. Make sense? So I've now turned it off. We're going to get, well, that's going to make me reconnect, but so for most of you, you're going to go to the CLI, you're going to type get crash, it's going to give you the list, you're going to click crash recovery, and you're just going to check it, and it's going to tell you, oh, I didn't save it, so it's now on again. But what you're going to do to turn it on is you're going to type set space crash, you might as well just click this to save yourself a little bit, equals space. Oh, look at that. You can just click on. It gives you the different options. And then you're going to hit that button, and it's going to give you right here, set crash recovery equals on, crash recovery set to on. Canon just shit its pants. So let me fix this real quick. My apologies that one of the biggest camera manufacturers on earth can't make a motherfucking piece of software that works. Come on, you rat bastard. So now you've turned crash recovery on. Cool? All right, so crash recovery has now been set to on. At this point, you need to save. Type save, it's going to kick you out and you have to reconnect. It's going to restart the flight controller, and now we're good. If you want to check to see if it saved, you're going to type, you guessed it, get crash, click crash recovery, and that's it. Hit enter, and it's going to show you all the different things in here that have crash underscore recovery in them. So it's going to show you the angle, it's going to show you the rate, but right here is what we're looking for. Crash underscore recovery equals on. It is now on. The default value is off. The other options are beep and disarm. Beep will beep when crash recovery was going to turn on. It will beep your beeper. Disarm will disarm the quad. Go figure. We're going to try beep first and foremost because I want to know if it doesn't have a beeper on board, will it use the ESC beeper? I bet you it won't. So we're going to type set. Well, let me bring this up a little bit. Set crash. I'm going to click crash recovery equals beep. Hit enter. Crash recovery set to beep. Save. Kicks us out. Let's see what happens here. I'm very curious. They say in the Betaflight Wiki that this is a great way to test it, and I agree. This is a really cool way because it's going to give you an audible beep. It's not going to actually turn itself on, but it's going to give you an audible beep when it would have triggered. To be honest, it's pretty obvious. Like, you hit something and all of a sudden magically the damn thing is flat. So like it's pretty, but if for some reason you're having a hard time figuring out whether or not crash recovery is kicking in, this is a cool way to do that because a lot, like probably about half of the things that we're going to adjust are based around when crash recovery turns on. The other half are how aggressively it goes to level, and then there's that delay that I got to kind of figure out. I don't necessarily know what that delay means yet, but we're going to figure it out together. So let's see. These tiny whoops obviously don't have beepers on them, but we do have the ESC beepers enabled. So I'm going to smack into something, and we're going to see if we can hear the damn thing beep. There's a chance that the ESC beeper will be so quiet that we won't be able to hear it. But if you have warnings turned on in your OSD, which you should, the beeper puts up a row of asterisks. So we might be able to see it if we can't hear it. Let's find out. So all I need to do is smack into something, which will take me about 4 seconds. That was not hard enough. That should have been hard enough. I didn't hear it. That should have been hard enough too. That was interesting. Crash recovery turned on there. Unless it just happened to magically find center. Nope, crash recovery did not turn on there. And I did not see the asterisks. So this is what it looks like when crash recovery does not turn on. Oh no. The OSD is getting all upset. See how... Okay. Alright, so we put a couple crashes into it. Let's talk. That last crash is a perfect example of what crash recovery does. A couple of those crashes, none of that was with crash recovery. That was all with crash recovery off. And I did manage to recover from a couple of those crashes. Smash into a gate, it spins around. When it's spinning around like that, the gyro is overloaded. That's why it keeps spinning. Once the gyro is no longer overloaded from it spinning too fast, it realizes what the hell's going on. And since I'm center stick at that point, it hits set point. Set point, when I'm doing a lot of these crashes, I'm on the throttle, but I'm not really doing anything here. And so set point is basically like this. And so it overloads the gyro. When the gyro comes back and comes back into within its range, it hits set point. But it in that last crash, for example, it was rotating and it hit set point when the thing was like this. And I was like off sideways. And then so I had to notice that it was in this direction. And then I had to, again, the signal go through my eyes into my brain, down in my fingers, through the transmitter. And then I had to push it out like that. So crash recovery is not going to prevent when you hit something and it starts to do something weird. It's going to level it out. So don't have unrealistic expectations for crash recovery here. It's not crash prevention, it's crash recovery. It's helping you recover from the crash. Cool? Mupshot says motor beeper is disabled when armed. Good call. Good call. Willing to bet beep is only on the OSD. And I did not see it in the OSD at all. So the beep setting is only going to work on a bigger quad that's got an external beeper on it. So that's good to know. I sort of assumed that a long time ago, and so I didn't ever really try it. But, we're going all the way down the rabbit hole tonight, so let's go all the way down the rabbit hole, damn it. Plug back in. Get back into Betaflight. And we're going to type set space crash. I'm going to click crash recovery. I'm going to type equals space on. We're going to turn it back on. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to type save. All right. So now let's dive in. Crash recovery. So first and foremost, to find this page, it's super easy. You go to Google or any old search engine, you type in Betaflight crash recovery. And the very first hit for me, it might not be your first hit, but it's going to be over at betaflight.com guides current. And that'll bring you straight there. For you, I've been to this page, so my Google is going to serve this result higher. Betaflight Wiki, you might need to type crash recovery. You'll find it. And so here it is. All right, so let's just get, perfect. We're going from the top to the bottom. Crash recovery. When a crash is detected, the flight controller will attempt to recover the crash to a level altitude, then give the control back. This hits all the bases. When a crash is detected, we're gonna be adjusting that. The flight controller will attempt to recover to level altitude, then give the control back. We're gonna dial all those things in. How long it takes to give the control back, how aggressively it finds level. I should mention that you need to have your accelerometer somewhat calibrated. If your accelerometer is calibrated like this, crash recovery is going to put the damn thing like this every single time. I think that'll be pretty obvious because every time you hit something, you'll be looking at the sky in the exact same orientation or down at the ground. So, that kind of goes without saying that your accelerometer needs to be somewhat calibrated. To calibrate your accelerometer or to accelerate your calibrometer, you connect, and it's right fucking in front of you here. Put it level, give it a split second, And then, so if you've got a USB port plugged into the bottom, it's a little bit more difficult to set it, to put it level. Just put it on the front like this. It doesn't have to be perfectly level. You got to just get it somewhat close. So I'm just putting it on the front on my desk. It's not perfectly level, but that's totally fine. And then you hit this calibrate accelerometer button and away you go. I'm not going to do it because it's already looking totally fine and flat, and we're good to go. Back into the CLI. So the first option, the first parameter, crash underscore recovery. Sorry. Crash underscore recovery. Enable or disable. Allowed values off, on, beep, disarm. Great. Default off. Awesome. Good to go. Next, crash D threshold. Sensitivity threshold based on the D term values. So this is an example of one of the ones that are going to be pretty specific to you. If you run really high D gains or really low D gains, you might need to dial this in specifically for you. So I'm going to type get, and then I copied it into the clipboard. It's already there. Crash D threshold. So the default value is 50. I have turned it up to 80. Let's take a look at my D gain values. Okay, so I'll approach this intelligently. The allowed values are 10 to 2000. Let's see how high we can set a D gain value. So just for right now, I'm not going to save this, but I'm going to turn off the sliders so that I have access to the numbers. And then for the D gain on roll, I'm going to put it to 11 billion. I'm going to hit tab. Okay, so the maximum possible value is 250. If I hit arrow up, it will not let me go to 251. At which point you might be thinking, well, what the hell? Why would they give me the ability to do 2000? There's two possible answers to that. One answer might be that sometimes in the CLI, these values are multiple. So 2000 might actually be like 200.0. If they want to give you the ability to set it at 200.1 or 200.2, they'll sometimes do that. They'll just add extra zeros basically to some of these values. I don't think that's the case. What I think is the case is that because of Dmax, which is a multiplier, I'll betcha that you can set Dmax up to multiply this D gain value all the way up to 2000. So let me, do they mention that it's a multiplier in here? They don't. They don't. But, well, do they mention it in here? Increases the Dmax. No, they don't talk about it being a multiplier in here, but it is. Dmax is a multiplier. And so if your D gain is all the way up at 250 and you have Dmax turned on as a multiplier, that might that's how potentially the D term value could get all the way up to 2000. I am going to disconnect so it doesn't F up my tune and reconnect. And now we are back. Okay, so my D gain values on this particular quad are 33 and 41, but I use Dmax, which is a multiplier. So Dmax could potentially push these D gain values up over my, what was it, 80? Was 80 my value? Get crash D threshold. Yes, I've moved it up to 80. I kind of guessed at that. So I need to... All right, so if we're going to be testing these things, I need to move these all up. I need to turn all of the other triggers off, basically. So I'm going to type set crash G threshold equals, what's the maximum? 2000. set equals 2001. It should say no. Error, invalid value. Okay. So the G threshold is now set to 2000. That's as high as it'll go. In theory, it'll never trigger that high. I've also got this crash set point threshold. I'm going to turn that one all the way up to set crash threshold equals, what's the maximum value on that one? It's 2000 as well. This is the right way to tune each one of these things in. The recovery angle, so those are 3 in a row. Crash, D threshold, G threshold, and set point threshold. To me, I'm pretty sure that these are the 3 that determine when it turns on. Crash recovery angle defines the angle that the craft will try to recover. That has nothing to do with it turning on or off. The recovery rate is how aggressively the craft attempts to recover. That has nothing to do with if it turns it on or not. This one's interesting. Crash limit yaw limits the yaw rate during recovery to prevent yaw spins. If during crash recovery the yaw rate exceeds this value, crash recovery will be canceled. I don't totally understand that one, but we're going to play around with it and see if we can figure it out. Crash time, maximum duration for which recovery attempts will be made. So again, that has nothing to do with whether or not it triggers it. And then crash delay, time to wait before starting recovery. Again, has nothing to do with whether it's triggering or not. So I'm pretty damn sure that these 3 thresholds are the ones that are going to determine whether or not it turns on, right? We've turned it on already, right? So we've said like, yes, I want crash recovery to enable at some point. Now we need to adjust when it enables. And the cleanest way of doing that is to max these 3 values out and then do them one at a time. And that's exactly what we're going to do. First and foremost, we're going to do the D threshold. So I'm going to do set crash D threshold equals, so I had it at 80. The default value is 50. The lowest value is 10. Let's put it at 10 and see what happens. I have a feeling it might not fly because my D-gain values are over 10. Well, no, it should fly. This is actually going to be kind of cool. This is going to be super cool if you're a nerd like me. Because, if you use Dmax, Dmax will move your D-gain up when it needs it, but then you can cruise around at the lowest possible D-gain setting. So right now, in my PIDs, my default D-gains are above a value of 10. And so, in theory, this might not even fly. Let's see. I'm fucking dying to know what's about to happen here. This could be an interesting way of setting your Dmax, to be honest with you. Come on, ELRS, you can do this. I turned on the transmitter after I powered up the quad, and that always upsets ELRS. Well, it flies, so I'm already confused. Let's crash into something and see what happens. So I'm able to go off level. Oh, interesting. I would think that what I just did would trigger the D-gain, but it didn't. Let's put it into prop wash. Interesting. Nothing. It is not turned on yet. So in theory, the D threshold doesn't do anything, which, you know what, is totally fine. Oh, my OSD is just all the way gone. Oh, shit. Hold on. I gotta try to get out of the menu. There we go. I'm out of the menu. Come back, OSD, please. Oh, well. It'll come back eventually, in theory. So, well, let's do this. Maybe it adjusts it in some weird opposite way. So we're gonna max this value out and see if it. So crash recovery did not turn on at all. My D gains are not like cranked up, but they're you know, there's some D gain in there. And the description there says sensitivity threshold based on D gain values. So either it just doesn't work, or my D gains are not high enough. I can't necessarily just crank the D gains up on this rig. My Ds are at 33, 41, and then my D max is up at 45 and 57. So when I was doing those prop wash runs, it was absolutely pushing the D gains above 33 or 41. I mean, if I have this thing set at a minimum and it's still not triggering, right? I have it down as low as it'll go, which is 10. Maybe it just doesn't work. But again, let's try this the other way. So I'm going to type set crash D threshold equals, and now we're going to max it out, 2000. And save. And now let's see. If this works, this is going to be difficult to dial in, because I don't know why they would have it set up to be opposite like this. Nope. So it doesn't work, which is fantastic because it's one less thing for us to need to dial in. So I'm actually kind of happy about this. One less thing to work about. Leave the D threshold alone. When I was initially setting up crash recovery, and I figured out there were 3 thresholds, basically crash recovery was triggering like a little bit too often, and so I cranked all of the thresholds up just to kind of cover my bases, because I didn't dive into the wiki to actually read. And I turned them all up, and it started acting really well, and I dialed in the G threshold a little bit, and it was kind of good, and I'm like, good enough, move forward and fly more. So I'm kind of happy about this, because when you use D max, your D gains kind of move around a little bit, and like that's going to make it a little bit of a moving target. And honestly, like, I don't know what situation you would want your D gain to trigger the crash recovery. You want the G-force. You want the gyro detector, right? When a crash happens, when you smack something, and that's when you want it to trigger. Islander FPV says you have to exceed both D and G threshold to engage crash recovery. Fuck. That sucks. We're going to test that by... Yep, we're going to test that right now. I'm going to leave the D threshold all the way up at 2000. I'm going to drop the G threshold way down, and we're going to smack into something, and we're going to see if it triggers. So connect CLI. So up next is crash G threshold. I'm going to click, I'm going to do get just to take a look at where it's at. Right now it's at 2000. Great. The default value is 400. So now I'm going to type set space crash G threshold space equals space. Where did I have it before? I used to have it at 600. Well, let's put it to default. We're going to, fuck that. Let's put it as low as it'll go, 100. G threshold at 100. That's the lowest possible value. Let's see what happens. So it's going to trigger this very easily, but it's not going to trigger anything else. Islander, how do you know that? Where it doesn't say that on the wiki. Where have you heard or have you tested that? Well, that would have triggered it, and it definitely didn't. This is the end of this battery, but let's just smack it into something one more time. Yep, nope. See how I had to make that correction? All right, so there we go. We figured that one out, and I'm gonna put this battery aside. Good call, dude. Okay, so that makes dialing this in a lot more difficult, but we're gonna figure it out. Brandon's Baked Beans backing up Islander, saying both gyro and determ thresholds need to be met to trigger crash recovery, and the set point threshold must not be exceeded. Oh, interesting. To allow it to trigger as well. I'm referencing the code base itself. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Islander. Thank you, Brandon. Okay, so down the rabbit hole we go. Hey, Brandon, what is the multiplier? I need to understand what the Dmax multiplier is, I think, at this point. So, like, for example, if my Dmax is at 45 on roll, what is that? Do you happen to know what that multiplication is going to be? Okay, so we need to move all of these thresholds down. Well, you know what? The way that I've had it set up is a really good starting point. And I gave you all that starting point. And so there it is. I'm going to hit save. That's just going to lock it in. We're going to reconnect. Brandon's Baked Beans says it's times 1,000, but that doesn't exactly make sense to me. Yeah, me either. If it's 35 times 1,000, that's going to be a massive multiplier. Okay, so we don't necessarily know what the multiplier is. Brandon just typed something that I wish I was smart enough to understand. Says gyro delta in degrees per second times 1,000 to match original 2017 intent. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But these values that I'm running, okay? D threshold of 80, G threshold of 600, set point threshold of 500. Those values are the default values, just kind of turned up a little bit. And that worked really, really well. And so I'm going to type get crash. Zoom in a little bit for you guys. Get crash. Actually, let's just do that. Look, if you just type get crash, watch this. It'll give you all the values for all the things that have... That's too many. That's too many. Hold on. That's too ugly. I just want those... I really just want those thresholds. Come on now. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to type get crash. So I want to look at... crash underscore. Yeah. There we go. Get crash underscore. And now it'll get... It's still too many. Let's see what it pulls. It's kind of ugly. But crash D threshold. Default value 50. My value 80. So we just turn that 50 up a little bit. Crash G threshold 600. Default value 400. We just turned it up a little bit. Cool. Set point threshold 500. Default 350. Look, those three thresholds... here's what you do. You turn crash recovery on. Those thresholds are probably going to be too low. And so more often than you want, the quad is going to level itself. Come in here. bump these thresholds up a little bit, fly it around a bunch more. If it's still coming on too often, bump them up a little bit more until it comes on at the right time and it doesn't activate too often. Cool? That's how you set the thresholds. Brainswiping says tuning gyro and determ thresholds up a little makes it less likely to trigger. Set point threshold prevents it from triggering if you are on the sticks. I'm having a hard time understanding that set point threshold. It almost sounds like I would want to turn the set point threshold down. So the default set point threshold is 350. So what the hell does that mean? What does that 350 mean? See if Brandon can drop some fucking knowledge on us. I'm too dumb to understand that. I know I can figure it out. I'm going to turn it way down. I'm going to turn it all the way down. And then I'm going to turn it all the way up. Okay. 35% throttle. Oh! Set point threshold. The range is 50 to 2,000. So what the hell would 2,000 scale to? That would not scale to 200%. You can't give it 200%. Right? Is it 2,000? We need to find that 2,000 value. I think I know where we can find that 2,000 value. Yeah, buddy. There it is. Okay. So there's that. I bet you there's that 2,000 value. So like, yeah, your throttle for, well, no, zeroing them out is in the 900s, right? We never get these down below 1,000, basically. Brandon's Baked Bean says it's in degrees per second. 350 is 300. Okay, so it's not the radio endpoints. It's the rotation commanded set point. Brandon, you're a fucking god among men. Thank you. Okay, so it's degrees per second. So I'm thinking. So if you are, so the default value is 350 degrees per second. So if you're pushing set point in, if you're pushing 351 degrees per second of stick value. So if you're in like a hard roll, if you're in a hard roll, and you're doing 351 degrees of rotation, crash recovery will not trigger with the default value. So if you want to deactivate the set point threshold, all you got to do is set it higher than your maximum rotational rate. And that might be a good idea anyway, because I don't know why. Like if I'm all the way at the end, so my personal maximum degrees per second is 700, right? And so if I set it to 701, even if I'm all the way over in a snap roll, I'll still only be at 700 degrees a second. And if I smack into something, it'll center me. But yeah, no, so that would turn it off. So yeah, maxing it out would also turn it off. Okay. We're gonna test it. I just figured out how to test it. Okay, cool. So we're gonna put it all the way down. We're gonna put it to 10 degrees. Oh no, I can't test this. Well, I might be able to test it, but this is really hard to test because no, it's not. I'm gonna hit something with 0 degrees of rotation, and then I'm going to hit something with a little bit of rotation. And if I set it at 10, the minimum is 50 degrees per second. I can probably hit something with 50 degrees of rotation per second. Let's try it. I'll be honest, I don't think this one matters very much. I don't think you should spend much time dialing this one in. But just for the sake of argument, we're going to put it as low as it'll go. 50. And let me make sure that the other stuff is on. Get crash underscore. And so my D threshold is at 80. That's the custom value that I've had good luck with. The G threshold is at 600. Again, that's the custom value that I've had good luck with. So our set point threshold is now all the way down. And so crash recovery will trigger. It will trigger if I'm flying dead straight ahead and I hit something. It won't trigger if I'm rotating more than 50 degrees per second. Let's see if I can hit these gates in a way that triggers it or doesn't trigger it. I think that's it. Right? Let's see. And so what you're looking for is like I hit something and then magically the damn thing is level. Like superhuman reaction time level. And I'll tell you, I feel it on the sticks. So I'm going to hit something with 0 degrees of rotation and I think it'll trigger. It did not trigger. Crash recovery did not come on there. It did not come on there either. I might not be hitting it hard enough. Let's hit it harder. Fuck! Oh, stop it. It did not come on there either. All right. Now, so maybe it's working opposite of the way that I think it is. Let me, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of, I'm going to hit something with a little bit of rotation in me. It did not come on there either. I don't get it. I don't get why it's not coming on. Maybe. Hold on. Hold on. See there? It definitely didn't come on there. Oh my god. I make corrections very quickly. I'm having to force myself to stay off the sticks here. I don't know if it triggered there. That did not trigger. See how it sat at an angle like that? That did not trigger. Oh boy. I don't understand. The visual beeper does not work. I tried that. Brandon, any idea why it's not, okay. I know how to troubleshoot this. I'm going to make it trigger early and often. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to turn the other thresholds way down to ensure that it is triggering all the time. And that'll let us, that'll help with dialing in this set point threshold. All right. I think that dialing in all the stuff down the bottom is going to be a lot quicker and a lot easier for the record. So I'm okay with spending a lot of time on these thresholds because having it turn on when you want it to turn on is kind of the most important bit. So get crash underscore. Here's one of the quickest ways to adjust this. Get crash underscore, enter. It gives you all the values, and now you can just copy and paste. So crash D threshold equals 80. I'm going to change that. What's the lowest value? 10. So I'm going to type set space paste and then change 80 to 10. Boom. Crash G threshold equals 600. Highlight the whole line. Copy it. Set space paste 600. Minimum value is 100. And the set point threshold is as low as it'll go at 50. So save. It might not even fly like this. Let's see what happens. All the thresholds are turned way the F down. Where'd the battery go? There it is. All right. This will help. Here we go. Oh, there it was. Wow. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Oh, boy. You see it? You see it turning on? See it there? I was kind of hung up on the gate there. Ooh, it didn't turn on there. You see how I nose dove after the hit? Bump it into the couch. Oh, yeah. Or what about the ground? What about bumping into the ground? Oh, yeah. I can feel it because it stops responding to my stick inputs for a split second. Also, when you bump into the ground, it never puts you flat like this. You know what I mean? Okay, so it's triggering a lot right now. See that jerk? See how it jerked in the middle of that? That was it trying to center itself. The problem with having them this low is they're going to trigger way too often. See it? On both of those. It goes back to level like a robot. Because it's using the other values that you've entered in there. And so it looks robotic. It goes back to level at the rate that you have set. So that's how you guys can see it. I gotta be honest. I don't understand the set point threshold. I really don't. I think maybe we want to leave that zeroed out, or put it up as high as it'll go to deactivate it, because it's. You know, you want the crash recovery to turn on when you crash. Where you are from a rotational rate, like, who cares? You know? If you're full roll and you smack into something, I guess the thought process is, if you're full roll and it's really charging, if you hit something, it's just going to keep kind of charging through that roll. But if you have it set to not hit all the time, it shouldn't matter. Yes, under FPV and Hansi, the set point threshold can't be exceeded for it to activate. He's going to be center stick. He's got to be center stick for it to activate right now. Is that what I was feeling? That's what I was feeling. That's it. That's exactly it. Let's test it. I was not thinking about it in that respect. So I'm gonna hit one of these. I don't think it activated there. Shit. Stop it! No. Come on, hit it. Stop it! Well, I think it turned on there. Maybe not. Oh, it did not. Yeah, there we go. Versus. Ooh. I can just do this if I bump into the ground. Watch this. See it? It did not turn on, right? It did not turn on because I had a bunch of yaw in. Versus, if I'm dead center, there it is. There it is turning on. See it? See it snap me back to center? See it? Because I'm center stick. There we go. Okay, so that is working. I don't know if I have any good recommendations on how to tune that. I don't even know if I want that turned on. I might want to set that at the max value so that it's always willing to turn on crash recovery. So the lower you set that, the less often crash recovery is going to turn on based upon the degrees per second that the quad is rotating. So if for some reason there's a certain amount of rotation where you don't want crash recovery to turn on, that's how you need to dial that value in. I think I want it to turn on all the time when I hit something. Although, if you hit something when you're rotating hard, a lot of it can drive through the fact that you hit something and keep. That's tough. That's tough. I on one hand, if you're driving enough power through the motors and props, if you hit something, it's going to have less of an effect. And so if you're rotating hard enough and you hit something, it might be able to just mash right through it, and like your visuals are all spinning around anyway. And so, but the alternatively, it's gonna have an effect. And so if in the middle of a snap roll you hit something and it points it straight at the ground, and you exit the snap roll and you're looking straight down at the ground, that's a good way to crash. Versus if it triggers halfway through the snap roll, it's going to hit the accelerometer and it's going to level you out. So I think this is, if you go through a snap roll and you hit something and you magically come out of it, you saved the shot and it doesn't look like an error. When crash recovery turns on, it's very obvious that you fucked up. And so that's how you tune it. If you start to feel like on high rotation rate movements, you could have mashed right through it and flown away, and in your flight footage, it doesn't look like an error, that's how you tune this value. I'm gonna put it back at the default, I think. Nope, that's not what I want. Set crash underscore to get all the values. That's going to be the hardest one to tune, I think. The default value is 350 degrees per second. So anything under 350 degrees per second, crash recovery is going to be below the threshold, so it's going to be able to trigger. Any rotational rate above that threshold, and it will not trigger. 50 feels like it's too low. The default value of 350 is probably pretty good. 350 degrees per second, you're starting to really charge. I had set it at 500, and I never really noticed it. Interesting. I'm gonna put it back to 500. I think that one is going to be the least. I know that one is going to be the least obnoxious. The higher you set it, the more often crash recovery is going to turn on. And for right now, it's a good thing. Brains Bean says, maybe it's so that if you want lower gyro and D-term thresholds, then a fast commanded rotation may just trigger it accidentally. If that's the case, then you need to use set point threshold. That's super interesting. Yeah. Huh. I'm going to put it at 500. I think you should too. Let's focus on the other ones. D threshold. All right, well, so we kind of have to tune D threshold and G threshold at the same time. It's 11:45 already. Here's going to be my recommendation on these thresholds. Turn crash recovery on. Fly it around. It's going to activate too often. The higher you put these threshold values, the less often that crash recovery is going to trigger. And so creep these values up a little bit at a time, 50 or 100 points at a time, until you're happy with how often the threshold triggers, and then dive into the rest of these to get it to act the way that you want it to, which we'll talk about in a second. And then if you really want to go totally insane, go back to these values and individually move them up and down to see if you can get them dialed in a little bit better. The set point threshold is going to be the most confusing one for sure. The G threshold is going to be the easiest one. The G threshold is how hard you hit something. The default value of 400, I think, is 4G, and that's probably going to be too low. And then so just start moving that up a little bit. I really like 600, I think, is where I'm at here. And then the D threshold is your D gain. This one's going to be tough because it's going to be dependent upon your personal D gain values. My recommendation is going to be just to creep it up. If you, take 50 up to 60, up to 70, up to 80. My values that I've been using for a long time are 500 for the set point threshold, 80 for the D threshold, 600 for the G threshold. Try those out. They're probably going to work really good. If it's triggering too often, you want to crank those values up a little bit. If it's triggering not often enough, you want to turn them down. Cool? Moving on. Crash recovery angle defines the angle to which the craft will try to recover. I have not changed this. I have left this at the default of 10. I don't necessarily know what this does. What's the range? The range is 5 to 30. Defines the angle. What is this range? 5 to 30? Oh, the angle off center. So if it gets it to within 30 degrees of what is considered level, it'll turn itself off. That's pretty good. So the default is 10. So as long as it I'll betcha what they're trying to do with this is make sure that it doesn't overcorrect and then have to come back again. And so the default is 10. I don't think I've ever seen it. Okay. So we're about to mess with the rate, the recovery rate, because we want it to snap back quickly, right? The quicker it snaps back, the more chance there is of overshoot. And so if you crank the rate, if you make it really aggressive, getting back to center, and if you ever see it overshoot and then come back, you'll be locked out of the stick, so it'll be obvious. Then I think you want to change this crash recovery angle from 10 up to maybe 20. But there's the potential that you'll be 20 degrees off kilter or even 30 degrees off kilter. I'm going to leave alone. 10 has been working totally fine. I'm about to make the rate more aggressive, and so maybe I'll need to go back and change this, but I think that value of 10, that sounds pretty good. 10 degrees within total flat, that's pretty awesome, right? You'll be able to recover that and fly out of that. Okay, so we're not going to touch that one. Crash recovery rate. This one is important. How aggressively the craft attempts to recover. Higher values mean faster recovery, but can lead to oscillations if set too high, right? Overcorrect, 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 overcorrect. That's an oscillation. Default value is 100. I have mine set to 200. So I've doubled and halved the amount of time that it gets back to 0. Let's move it all the way up to 255 and see what happens. Crash recovery rate. Set space crash underscore recovery underscore rate space equals space 255. All the way up. Save. And so now this rig is on all of my normal values other than that recovery rate being lightning fast. And so crash recovery will trigger when I expect it to, and it won't trigger when I don't expect it to. But it should be a little bit more aggressive. It might not be... I might not notice it, because the difference between 200 and 255 might be kind of subtle. Hey, this right here, really fast movements can trigger crash recovery. Move those thresholds up if it is. So it didn't trigger it there. That was interesting. Oops. There, it did trigger it there. It didn't seem to oscillate though. See it trigger it? So it's... I'm assuming that's degrees per second. I'm assuming that it didn't trigger it there. What the hell? Now I'm really being sensitive to it, though. Yeah, see, it triggered it there. That's not a good crash for it. It actually didn't trigger it there. Now that I'm trying to dial it in, I'm like really paying attention to it. Like once I got it set, I just flew. I didn't really pay much attention to it, so it didn't trigger it there either. There it did. See it come right back for me? There it is. That's it. So that's on max, and it's not oscillating. There it is. See it? Cool. I'm going to leave it maxed, because one of the big things that I want to do, and one of the big reasons that I'm doing this live stream tonight, is I want it to correct as fast as possible so that I'm not locked out of the sticks, right? And so, yeah, that doesn't... I'll bet you on like a 5-inch rig, you wouldn't be able to set that up so high. Tiny whoops, right? They're fairly like low authority, all things considered. And so you can be pretty aggressive with certain stuff. So I bet you that's what's going on. If you're going to use this on really powerful stuff like 5-inch builds, that's... do so at your own risk. I'll just say that. I'm going to leave crash recovery rate cranked all the way up at 255. It worked totally fine. No oscillations, no nonsense. Crash limit yaw. Limits the yaw rate during recovery to prevent yaw spins. If during crash recovery the yaw rate exceeds this value, crash recovery will be canceled. I've left this default. Limits the yaw rate during recovery. If during crash recovery, if during a crash, the yaw rate exceeds this, crash recovery will be canceled. I still don't totally get it, but let's turn it all the way down and see what happens. Set crash limit yaw equals, fuck it, 0. So I've basically turned this on all the time now. Let's see if it acts any different. Get in there, battery. There we go. All right, here we go. limits the yaw rate during recovery. What the hell does that mean? I'm trying to nip these gates to get it to yaw. Well, didn't seem to do anything there. Or did it? I don't know. Okay. Woo! Okay, interesting. Oh, stop it. It's hard to crash on purpose. I always wonder if I should just fly or if I should try to crash on purpose. If I just fly, I'm going to be like inverted half the time. You know what I'm noticing is that... Ooh, look at that recovery. It does... You know, in these crashes, it's not yawing at... Oh, fuck. I just completely annihilated this battery because the OSD is not showing up. Oh, this poor battery. Putting it right on the charger. Oh my god, 2.8 volts. That battery is ruined. That sucks. I'm going to put a red mark on that battery so that I know that it's one that I hurt. That's a shame. Okay. What I did notice is in those crashes, it was only pitching and rolling. I think it was maybe using the motors to keep it from yawing. It's kind of what it sounds like to me. That doesn't seem to help anything, though. It's just making the... Oh my god, it feels so much better now on a battery that's not at 2 volts. Well, it yawed on that crash. It did a lot of yawing on that crash. Okay. Oh, God. I gotta be honest, I don't really notice much of a difference. That's with it zeroed out. That's with it zeroed all the way out. Let me put it back. Get, paste. So that's with it zeroed. The default value is 200. I'm going to now put it to 1,000. But see, it's just going to cancel. Oh, fuck it. We got to try it. I mean, this is the best way that I've found to figure out what a lot of this stuff in Betaflight does when I can't read their description of it and decrypt the developer speak that they sometimes use. So it is now maxed out. I think crash recovery is just never going to turn on now because I have it maxed. But let's just see. Nope, that turned crash recovery on. Come on now. Damn it, I'm hitting these gates too solid. I need glancing blows like that. That turned on. Whoop. Ah! I want to try to... I'm trying to crash in a way that, like, spins it around like that. There we go. I do not notice any difference. So, we're going to put it default. If it's not immediately noticeable, what it's doing from me putting it all the way down and then all the way back up, then it means that it's not doing a whole lot. The G threshold, the D threshold, the recovery rate, those are all very obvious. I should have dumped that recovery rate all the way down so that you can see how slowly it will go, but you don't want that. You don't want it to recover slowly. You want it to recover quick. So crank that recovery rate up, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to put this back to default. It's not super obvious. And the description of it doesn't really make much sense. And I've had it on default, and crash recovery has been working great for me. So that's back on default. These last two are the ones that I'm super excited about. Crash time. Maximum duration in milliseconds for which crash recovery attempts will be made. So when you hit something, and then you hit something else, and then you hit something else, if you have this set high, it'll keep running crash recovery. So if you hit something hard, and it triggers crash recovery, but then in the process of it working, you bump into something soft, you might not want crash recovery to trigger, or you might want it to trigger. And so this crash time is very closely tied to how long you're going to be locked out of the sticks. And so I think that this crash time is what I really need to dial in on, and I think I need to drop it. And it even says here, maximum duration in milliseconds. So the default value of 500 milliseconds, is that half a second? 500 milliseconds, 1,000, 500, half of 1,000. That's a half a second. So crash recovery, right now, I'm giving crash recovery permission to lock me out for a half a second. And I think sometimes that's what's happening. I think that's what I'm feeling sometimes. So I'm going to max this out first, though, because that'll make it incredibly obvious. So I'm going to copy that. We're going to do set. Well, we'll do get first to see where it is. Get crash time, and it's defaulted at 500. So we're going to do set space crash underscore time space equals space maximum range is 5,000. That's going to be 5 seconds. So this will be obvious to everyone, and this will be excruciating for me. Here we go. All right. So I think this will be 5 seconds of me being locked out of the sticks. Brandon's going to do a push request to make some of this verbiage more clear. That's amazing, dude. Thank you. You are awesome. Here we go. Nope, didn't trigger it. This is probably a good way to see if it's triggering, too. Nope, didn't hit it hard enough. Come on now. Well, here, I just bumped the ground. Oh, that wasn't 5 seconds, but... And, you know, this is just... I'm locked out. I'm all the way locked out. So this is going to keep you locked out of the stick. Once it... I'm going to make an assumption here that I'm pretty sure is right. Once it gets zeroed out, once it gets back to level, it's going to turn crash recovery off. It's not just going to keep it on. And that's why I'm not noticing it. It's when you hit something, you hit something else, you hit something else, you hit something else, you hit something else. That's when it's going to potentially leave the crash recovery on. So, like, when I was on the ground there and I was locked out, it's because I was tumbling. Shit. So I got to do a tumbling crash. I'm going to have to tumble at quite the speed. Man, that is, I'm trying to, that's tough. Woo! It kind of feels like it always does. I might have better luck dialing this in by reducing it down all the way. So let's try that. I think when I was in those tumbling crashes, I was just totally locked out. For the record, these are some of the reasons that I haven't dove into these, because I had a feeling that they would be pretty subtle and I would have a hard time tuning them. But hey, set crash time equals 100. So this is, so the default value that I've been running has been 500. This is now 100. I'm just going to fly a battery. I'm going to fly a battery as I normally do, and we're going to see if the if I get locked out and frustrated at any point. I said we were going to fly 12 batteries tonight. Instead, we're going to fly 6. I'm not going to do this until 1 a.m. It's already after 12. All right, so here we go. That gave me control back pretty quick. That gave me control back pretty quick, too. Oh, stop it. Ooh, yeah, bro. Yeah, okay. It gives me control back damn near immediately. A tenth of a second, basically. Yep. That's what's been locking me out. That is absolutely what I've been noticing. So, but no free lunches. Of course, because this is America and we hate people. By lowering this value, it might make crash recovery not work as well, because it's going to get into and out of crash recovery really quick, and it might not have enough time to get me back to center. I'm trying my best to not... I've gotten so used to crash recovery that, like, I make corrections on the sticks pretty quickly. Oh, I thought I heard him. Oh, wow. Yo! It gives me control right back. Yep. Okay. This is what I wanted. Oh, bro. Yes! Woo! It's so good that I'm not even crashing. Oh, yeah, dude. See it recover, and then it gave me control right back. I tried to hit it on the corner there. It still has... there's still a little delay from when... There's still a little delay, which is the next value, which is called crash_delay. Dude, I'm leaving that all the way down. That feels really good. Yeah, that feels really, really good like that. When that was at 500 milliseconds, it was very obvious when crash recovery was on, because there would be these moments where I would push something into the sticks and nothing would happen. And so don't change that right away. Change that last, because when you're dialing in all this other shit, you want to know whether or not crash recovery is active. and that dumping that crash time all the way down makes it almost imperceivable, because crash recovery gets you as close to level as it can and is off, right? This is the maximum duration. The potential problem with that is going to be if you're inverted and you trigger crash recovery, 1/10 of a second might not be long enough for it to get you back to level. And so don't change that crash time, get everything else dialed in, and then slowly reduce it. I'm going to leave it all the way down because I'm just going to keep flying on these streams like I do. And I'm going to see if there's ever a scenario, if I can detect a scenario where it doesn't have enough time to get back level. But boy, that feels a lot better. I really, really, really like that. Last thing that we're going to adjust is the crash delay. How many milliseconds to wait before starting recovery, but the default is 0. Let's max it out. Oh no. Yeah, let's max it out just to see what it's doing. So it's gonna wait a half a second. This ought to be weird. It's gonna wait a full half a second before it shoots back for level. This will be cool. Crash _ delay. Set crash _ delay equals 500. Hold on. Let me just check that I hit save on everything. Crash limit yaw is defaulted out. Crash recovery rate is maxed out at 255. Crash recovery angle is at 10, which is default. Crash delay is now jacked all the way up. Crash time is turned all the way down, 1/10 of a second. Set point threshold is bumped up a little bit. The default is 350. I have it bumped up at 500. Crash G threshold is bumped up from the default of 400 to 600. And then that's the G threshold. And then the D threshold is bumped from the default of 50 to 80. Save. This was way more confusing than I thought it would be. All right, let's see. Woo! It didn't even turn on in time there. Wow. It's not even turning on. It didn't turn on there either. Hold on. I gotta run another battery. It's nice that the OSD came back. That was pretty cool. Okay. Last fully charged battery. I am gonna see how badly I hurt that other battery though in a second here. All right, here we go. I didn't really notice it. It was as if crash recovery never turned on just now. I didn't notice it there either. You know what? In a half a second, I'm going to make the correction. So I have to not make a correction. I have to just leave the sticks alone. Yeah, see, but the room is so small that we don't have a half a second. I should have maybe just set it to like 1/10 of a second. It's just not turning on. There's not enough time. The room's too small. I'm hitting other stuff by the time it turns on. Look, you don't want to you want that at 0. The default is the way to go on that one. You don't want to delay there. That's insane. You want it to try to fix itself like right away. So leave that 0. Leave that default. There it is. There's how you dial in crash recovery. The majority of the dialing in is on the D and the G threshold. Those are the ones that are very specific to you as a pilot, to where you fly, and to what you're flying. Your D gains are going to be different than mine, and so you might need to shift that around a little bit. But the defaults are really good on a bunch of these, which is that's a good thing, you know. Like having to dial everything in sucks. Set underscore crash. Set space crash underscore delay space equals space 0. That's going to put it back to default. Save. And away we go. I am going to do something. I am going to... Right now, I've made very subtle changes to it. I'm actually going to bring my D and G thresholds down a little bit so that crash recovery triggers more often. And I'm going to see if I like or hate this. So, D threshold, which I have had at 80. The default is 50. I'm going to bring this down to 60. G threshold. And so I should just save it and fly it and see if I notice it hitting more often. But I want this to be really obvious for you guys as well. That's what you should do when you're setting it. Just change that one and see if it's triggering more or less often. G threshold, default is 400. I've had it up at 600. I'm going to bring it down to 500. Save. You should notice crash recovery kicking on more often now. I'm going to fly the rest of this battery, and that's going to be the end of the live stream. The set point threshold, I don't know about that. That's the default seems to be pretty good on that, so just kind of leave it alone. Unless you're running some kind of wacky rates, then you might need to change it. But let's see. I'm going to just fly normal. Oh, God. Crashes like that, it's not going to help. It helps when you crash in midair. That was awkward. What the hell? Are you kidding me? There is nowhere on this lamp that this thing could ever perch in a million fucking years. How the hell? How did it get in there? Absolutely insane. I'm kind of... I did that on purpose. I'm... There we go. Yep, save me on that. Okay. I don't know what to say about that one. That was a scenario where the gyro was maxed out. As was there. The gyro was maxed out for a split second. When the gyro came back, apparently trying to crash a bunch. There it was. It triggered on that one. Triggered on that one, and that one, and that one. I wanted it to trigger on all those. Triggered on that. Ooh. Did not trigger on that. And it was okay. Did trigger? See it? Did you see it? Oh, God. Did trigger? Nice and quick. Nice and quick. That was fucking hot. It's not going to help there. It ain't coming out of there. Interesting. I maybe like it better like this, triggering a little bit more often. What's difficult is that it feels so much better having that crash time turned down, that like that feels so much better that it's hard to then like evaluate the other things that I've changed. This is why we change one thing and then check it out. See that? It helped me there. Oh my god. I can't believe I just hit that on a dead battery. Well, there you go. Try my defaults. No. Turn it on and just run it. You'll notice it. Fly a bunch of batteries and just see if it's driving you insane or if it's helping you. Understand that it's gonna I especially have a tendency to get like it'll turn on. I'm like, damn it, I wish it hadn't turned on there. If it hadn't turned on there, it would have probably went rocketing into the wall. And so have that understanding with it. Oh, for fuck's sake, Canon. Keep that understanding that it is going to help you way more often than it's going to hurt you. When it triggers and you don't want it to, it is annoying because it messes up like the flow and it's like obvious that it was an accident, but again, more often than not, it's going to prevent it from rocketing across the room and bashing into something even harder. And so like usually when you crash, it's over, right? Like there are very few scenarios where you're able to hit something, especially hit something hard enough that it triggers it, right? The triggers are set to be pretty yeah. Oh my god, I'm getting tired. I'm hungry too. Ugh. I'm getting old, man. It's like I think for a while and then I'm just completely exhausted. Turn it on and run it as it is. You're gonna notice it, and then start thinking about when I hit a gate versus when I hit a wall. When you hit a wall, it's going to be a much sharper, much higher G-force impact. And that should, that will like almost always trigger it. When you hit a gate, you might not get to that G threshold, and so it might not trigger it. And so that's how you start to then kind of work it out in your head and move those values up. When you move those values up, you're going to notice that it doesn't trigger as often. Bring the values down if it's not triggering often enough. At some point, you probably are going to want to crank up the crash recovery rate and turn down the crash time. But for initially, just turn it on and just run it as it is. Because you want to get a feel for the default values, but also like you've never had it happen before. So you need to like, it's going to be weird. There's going to be a moment where all of a sudden like you move the sticks and nothing happens, and you got to get that through your head. Like, so don't dump the rate, don't dump the crash time all the way down and the rate all the way up right away. Leave those the hell alone. Get the thresholds dialed in so that it turns on when you want it to turn on and it doesn't turn on when you don't want it to turn on. And then, in my opinion, turn the crash recovery rate all the way up and the crash time all the way down. Just so that it's less like sort of obtrusive. The crash delay is zeroed from by default. I think you should leave it zeroed. The crash limit yaw, the default seems to be fine. I couldn't really figure out what the hell it was doing. The crash recovery angle, default of 10, seems to be damn good. You don't need it any less than that. I don't know if you need it any more than that. 10 degrees off center, like that's enough for you to then fix. If it's 30 degrees off center, that might be a little bit too much. Bob Knox just put crash recovery on his Demibot a while ago. If I snapped it too hard in a power loop, it would always kick in. Perfect example of when you need to when you need to change the thresholds. And that's actually a perfect example of where you want to change the set point threshold. The set crash underscore set point underscore threshold is, it seems like, degrees per second. So if you have a rig that when you jam the stick, it triggers crash recovery, that's a set point issue. And so you're going to take that crash set point threshold, which the default is 350, and you're going to raise it. Raise it to 500, which is where mine is, and see if that triggers it. If that's still not, see if that stops triggering it. If it's still triggering, go to 600, 700, 800. Go as high as you have to go. Tiny whoops, we usually run lower rotational values. And so, yeah, there you go. Have you fixed it, or did you just turn it off, Bob? Let me get caught up a little bit on chat, and then I can stop. Wait, Brandon says lower the set point threshold. He just turned it off. Okay. Only triggers. When I put the crash set point threshold really low, it only triggered when I was center stick. If I was rotating at all, it wouldn't trigger. When you're doing those, when you do a hard move, your D gain is going to go up, if you're using, especially if you're using D max, because it's a multiplier. And so moving the D term. Oh wait, no, you just have to move the fuck the set point threshold. Leave that shit at 350. You just needed to move your D and your G threshold up. Because the when the thing rotates in a power loop, it's creating G-force. So move the G threshold up, and that'll help that. The default D threshold of 50, that's pretty low. If you have D max on, that can probably pretty easily go up above 50. So yeah, the D threshold and the G threshold are what you need to move up. I had that problem too, now that I think about it. I had that problem on the tiny whoops, actually. And that was one of the first things that I did, was raise the D and the G threshold, and it made that problem go away. And then the second phase of dialing them in was, how hard do I have to hit something to trigger this? And that was how I then dialed it in. But yeah, if it's, and that's what I was saying when I was like whipping the quad around in the corners of the room, that's the first thing you want to do. And that's totally dependent on what your rates are, right? So this is why like my values might not work for everybody. So the first thing you do is take off and just the max roll, max pitch, max yaw, and then coordinate them. Coordinate roll with yaw, because when you push into yaw and you push into roll, it will actually exceed your maximum amount of rotation. So that's why you see me doing those hard coordinated stick movements, because that'll push beyond your max rotational. Bob Knox just says my rates are the same as yours, so that makes sense. When I had mine defaulted out, it was triggering on the default on my rates. So yeah, first thing you do is take off and just do snap rolls, do snap flips, do full yaw rotations, and then do yaw and roll, and do them as hard as you can, back and forth, back and forth. It'll be incredibly obvious when this turns on, because it'll take control away from you for a split second. If that's happening, bump those D and G thresholds up a little bit until it stops happening. And then you get to deal with, how hard do I have to hit something? Because you can't have this turn on when you're just doing a move. Like, that's totally out of the question. So you want to move the G and D thresholds up to the point where they never activate from regular old stick inputs. And then at that point you can just kind of leave them, because at that point they're as low as possible. And so crash recovery is going to activate as often as it possibly can, without it happening when you're just moving the sticks around. If you decide at that point that it is happening too often, you can raise those values up more. Make sense? Awesome. Thank you for saying that, Bob Noxious. That I hadn't thought about it in that mindset. I'd forgotten that it was activating from just my stick inputs when I first turned it on, because it was literally years ago. In the chat, Nyafu says, was flying my wing, and about 20 minutes after I landed, a helicopter started orbiting around where I was. Then I heard a siren and a fire truck drive to where I was and stopped. Am I effed? Just run away. So, I mean, if you're talking to us, you're probably fine. Just run. Just run. You're fine. It's not illegal if you get away with it, right? Whoop Fox says, if you're not sure if 400 is 4G, you could turn G-Force on in your after flight screen. Yeah, I do have it on. If some of you might have noticed, it's in there. If turned on, you see did 4G, you know what 400 is. Yep. Very good call. Good call. All right, I'm shot. It's 12:30 and I'm shot. We covered a lot of ground. Try crash recovery. It's magic. It is. You will fly so much more of your batteries inside the house, rather than just bouncing off stuff. It is absolutely magic, and you owe it to yourself to try it. I hope you learned something. I absolutely did. Be good, friends. I'll see you on Friday at 7 o'clock. As always, CiottiFPV.com if you got some value out of this and you want me to keep doing it. Love you, bye! I'm not ready. And now look, the previous intro song is now going to be the outro song, and we're gonna just bring it down. We're gonna bring it down together and chill out. I'm gonna try to play something that's chill here. I'm gonna play some cinematic flight footage here, and we'll just chill. I got a little house tour. Perfect. Just chill out together now. Ready? Here we go. Come on, computer. You're better than this. No, it isn't. I'm not going to play a house tour because the computer can't handle playing 4K footage. We're going to do half speed drift car footage. See you guys Friday.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed. They zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Yeah. Ciotti's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz fuel fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise.
Yeah. Yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night.
Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy.
Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive.
I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy.
Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy's spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy's spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, falling at top speed things, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends singing loud. Yeah, Teddy spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.